Hello and welcome to my channel Green Line Goddess Tarot. This is a reading for the full moon in Sagittarius. It's going to be a general reading for all signs, so I'm not going to get into the specific readings for each sign because I've got a few readings out already, weeklies and fortnightlies, that do touch on that. And this was just a general message. I was keep getting messages from the moon and I'm like, okay, I'll put this out there. It will help with understanding the energies of the full moon. And also I'm going to talk about, at the end of this, I'm going to lead you through a little simple meditation exercise which can help you navigate the energies and work best with the energies of this full moon. And this is a simple little exercise that you can do at any time. I will guide you through it, but you can do this at any time, and I will timestamp it so that if you wanted to go back to it, you could as well. But firstly, we're going to talk about the full moon, which is happening in the sign of Sagittarius at 23 degrees. So the moon will be at 23 degrees, which means the sun will be in Gemini at 23 degrees, the opposite sign of Sagittarius. And so this is also happening in conjunction with a point called the galactic center, which is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And the galactic center is a place that opens the doorway to higher knowledge of the cosmos. It also connects you to the gateway to your soul, connects you to source energy. So it's this very high level in spiritual information that is being connected to knowledge at this moment in time. And my Jupiter is actually at 27 degrees. It's right on the galactic center, which is why it's easier for me to connect into this cosmic knowledge, which is why I can bring this to you, which is, and I really love this energy. But so this is where I see that the polarity between the Gemini and Sagittarius energies at play here, because Gemini is the twins. It does bring in polarities. And I see that this moon is a moon of bringing you two truths, and it's about making sense of those two truths. And the way to make sense of it is not through the logical mind, which is how we usually like to try and make sense of it, which is a Gemini energy. The Sagittarius energy, which is connecting us to this galactic center, is connecting you to the source of all knowledge, which is more of a sense of knowing. It's more of a sense of just being. And then suddenly later you connect into this energy, then later on it makes sense. But in this moment in time, when you're connected to the knowledge of that place, it's not a place that makes sense to our human minds. So this is where we can see the polarities between what the moon is bringing us versus what the sun is showing us. And how you struggle with those two different truths and realities is going to be dependent on how difficult you're going to find this moon. And so if you're a fire sign energy and also an air energy, or you have any fire, sun, moon and rising energies, this is where it's going to be easier, because it's going to connect you to that galactic center, which is going to bring you that higher truth. And so it's going to be less of a struggle. And so if your birthday is from April the 3rd to the 20th, which is the Aries energy, this is going to be particularly potent and strong for you. Also, if your birthday is from August the 3rd to the 23rd, which is the Leo energy, same. And of course, if you're Sagittarius, any kind of Sagittarius energy, but in particular December the 6th to the 21st, and your birthday is in these dates, this is where you're going to be really feeling it. But this doesn't mean that if your birthday isn't in those signs and times, you're not going to be feeling it. You might have a sun or moon and rising that is connected to that, and we're all going to be feeling it in our own different ways. And so it's kind of interesting because Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is also having a big chat to Pluto at the planet of transformation. Pluto's saying, you know what? I've got some information for you, Mercury. I've gone back and retrieved it because Pluto's in retrograde at the moment. Mercury was in retrograde. It is now moving forward into its favorite sign, Gemini, one of its favorite signs at least. And it works really, really well here. So Mercury has a message from the planet of transformation. And Pluto is interesting because Pluto is about things being black or white as well. It is around polarities, things being eliminated, things coming in, and transformation by showing you a truth, quite literally. And so you're being shown a truth by Pluto that is here for your transformation. and it's ready now for you to get this message through Mercury, but Mercury's bringing it through your mind, your thoughts. And so you're kind of making sense of that through your everyday brain, through the way your logical mind, your rational mind. And that, it makes a lot of sense. It's like, yeah, finally the picture becomes clear and I understand all this kind of darker energy or shadow energy that I've been working through, and I'm working out ways logically to be able to transform it. So I'm getting those messages, which is really great. But then you're also getting these higher messages, these higher understandings, and sometimes they can be total opposite messages. Sometimes it can feel like a paradox that they can't work together, which is really interesting. Logically inside your mind, it's like it doesn't make sense that both of these things could be true. But when you sit into the space of the galactic center, then you get this sense of interconnectedness and truths being totally like it makes sense once you're sitting in that space. And that's what this little meditation I'll bring you through connects you to that space, which makes it easier to just sit with this. But yeah, interesting because we've got Saturn in the mix as well, trining the moon. And this is where Saturn is redefining the boundaries or structures around your spiritual or philosophical or even religious understandings, those higher understandings. So it's a really kind of a big thing that you're shifting and moving here, and there's a lot that you're working with. So it can actually be a very highly spiritual, highly healing moon. It can bring this beautiful sense of you're healing some of those energies from Pluto, from the shadow, from something that you no longer need anymore. It can be very karmic. It can be past life. It could be something emotionally or psychologically that was intense, related to trauma or crisis, or something that really hurt you, something quite deep and dark. And this is ready to kind of at least understand it, at least have the higher understanding of it, which is that precipitates a healing process. So it's not like boom, click your fingers and it's healed. It starts a deeper transformative cycle, which is always longer with the Pluto energy. But it's kind of interesting because Neptune is in the mix as well. So Neptune is in the mix squaring the moon, and Neptune is in Pisces. And this is interesting that the dogs have just barked, because I don't know if any of you know the moon card. The card of the moon, it has the dogs barking at the moon. And the dogs are like, I don't understand what you're saying, moon. This is our little human part of ourselves, the sense that doesn't really understand the higher intuition messages of the moon. And I always read what happens. I don't know if you can hear my dogs barking in the background, but they are. They suddenly, something stirred them like a bird or a dog next door, and they've all barked. And so this is our little human self that's going, I don't understand, moon. What are you saying to me? But Neptune is in Pisces. Oh, here we have it. The dog's barking at the moon. Neptune is in Pisces. So Neptune loves being in Pisces. So both Neptune is in Pisces. It's ruler. It's really comfortable. Mercury is in Gemini, and that's really comfortable. And also the other planet that is doing really well is Mars, in Aries. Mars rules Aries. And so these three planets are all positively aspected, positively placed. Well, not necessarily positively aspect, but they're all working at their best, working very well. Neptune is the planet on the higher octaves that brings the challenge to the moon in terms of the higher information, in terms of this. Neptune represents the higher spiritual realms, the truths, mysticism, love, compassion, all those beautiful high vibrational things. And it's wanting to bring, like if we can connect that with the galactic center, it brings this lovely sense of healing by holding that darkness through your heart of compassion. So it's a lovely energy by bringing some of those traumas and things that you've been dealing with of late that have been upsetting or just been triggered underneath the surface, bring it into your heart and holding it in compassion. It can be a really lovely energy with Neptune. But as you know, Neptune's actually squaring the moon, this is the possibility that is what's possible, but it's going to bring challenges with that. And the challenges that Neptune brings is it likes to dissolve boundaries and blur everything and go blah, 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 blah. None of this makes any sense for you. And it can bring a sense of disillusionment, confusion, feeling really lost when you're in those kind of energies with Neptune. So you have, and there is the ability to rise above that, but this is where you can be like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm getting a message and I don't know whether to believe it to be true or not. So this can come through with this moon as well. So that's why it's good that we've got Saturn in there, because Saturn in some way likes boundaries. It's saying, well, I want to bring in some boundaries. I want this to make a little bit more sense. And so strangely, when you work with those two planets, you can actually go, well, if I can see what it's like with no boundaries and it feels a bit weird and lost or disillusioned, or I'm not feeling particularly great with this, Neptune at its lowest energy, like at the lower vibrations, can make you just feel really blur and unfocused. But Saturn comes in and says, let's focus. Let's see what it is that you're working through that is not working for you. What doesn't work in your life without boundaries, and let's go and reestablish that. So they can actually work, they can help each other, but they don't it's like they don't quite talk the same language. It's like they're speaking different languages and you need an interpreter of sorts. So it's not easy, but like I said, if you come up to this galactic center where you're just at the source energy and you just are, then it's like you don't need to try up there. You don't need to make sense of anything. Just you need to connect to that energy, and then later on it will all make sense. It will all start filtering through. So, with the Gemini Sagittarius polarity, it is all around knowledge and information. So the Gemini energy is more about your logical mind, the things that you're doing in your everyday life, lots of information you're processing. The Sagittarius energy is more higher knowledge that you're understanding through experience. So an experience of just going through those processes of being with that knowledge. So they're two very different energies, and it's about finding the balance. The polarities, the opposite signs, are all about meeting it halfway, and that's where you find the balance. It aligns. So yeah, that's kind of the energy that's coming through. The other thing that I wanted to talk about just briefly is that Chiron is conjunct Aries. I keep calling it Aries. It's Mars. Chiron is conjunct Mars in Aries, and Chiron is the wounded healer, or the wounds that we need healing in our life. And so Mars is there, bringing a lot of activated change to these wounds. And then we add these beautiful higher spiritual energies that you can connect into. This is where there can be this lovely healing of spiritual healing of wounds that's coming through, which is really lovely. But there can also be some confusion around the messages and understanding of those messages as well. So if you throw everything together, overall, it's this energy of connecting up to the higher truths and being able to heal those beautiful wounds through transformative messages that are coming towards you. And they're all wanting to work together. When they all work together, that is the optimum energy. But that's the thing, is that planets don't always work together, and it depends on your own natal chart. But that's where I'm going to lead you through this little meditation that we're going to next, which is where even if you're finding some things really confusing, you don't actually have to know the answers. It doesn't all have to kind of happen all at once and make sense. But this little meditation I'm about to lead you through will just help you sit with the energies at least and be able to traverse the energies in a more peaceful way. So we're going to go through that now. I'll just see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I'll just look at the chart quickly. And this chart that I've put up is based in Sydney, Australia. So don't look at the house systems unless you're in the Sydney, Australian Eastern Standard Time zone. So let's move in. So if you're interested in doing the meditation, we'll move on. If you're not, then this is where we'll say goodbye. And thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that this helped with you navigating these energies. And if you want to look at some personal readings for each sign, you might want to check out my weekly readings as well as my fortnightly readings. So let's just start by connecting in with your body. Just sensing how your body's feeling. And taking a deep breath from the bottom of your belly all the way to the top of your chest. And on the exhale, just releasing everything you need to release. And then repeating that process 3 times in your own time. And when you've completed your 3 breaths, just becoming aware of your body, letting your breath fall into its natural rhythm, and observing the gentle rise and fall of your breath. And observing any sounds that your body might be making. And bringing your awareness to the room or the area surrounding you. Just being aware of what's there. How the space feels. And then bring your awareness outside of the room or space that you're in, further afield, out towards the world and beyond. You can let this awareness go as far as you want, even out into space. Now bringing your awareness back into your body. And just becoming aware of what space in your body feels like your center. And if it feels outside of your body, inviting it into your body. Feeling the stillness and silence of this place. The deep peace. And this center connects you to your source energy. Connects you to the energy of the galactic center and all that is. There's nothing you need to do but sit in this space. You don't need to understand anything, just being. And you might find yourself slowly surrendering to this space. In your own time. This space is your soul energy, your source energy, a place you can come to at any time for deep peace. And it doesn't matter if some days it's harder or easier to connect to this space. Sometimes your awareness comes in and out, but it's just about giving yourself the time to connect in. And releasing and surrendering. Some days it will be easier than others to connect into this space, but your soul and source energy is always there, is always connected, and always listening. So you can visit this place at any time by connecting into your body and finding that place of stillness at any time of the day for any duration, just to check in. When you're feeling ready, gently opening your eyes and just observing how you're feeling. There's no rush coming back. And know that you can do this at any time. And the knowledge and wisdom of this place will always be there for you and will make sense when the time is right. So placing your hands in prayer position in front of your heart center and gently bowing your chin towards your hands in acknowledgement of yourself and the connection you've just made. Namaste. So I thank you for going on this little meditation journey with me. I hope that you're feeling a little calmer, but like I said, it can be different. There is no right or wrong way to be doing this, and this I feel is the best way to be connecting to the moon's energy for this beautiful Sagittarius full moon. But this is something you can do at any time in your life. It really is my number one little go-to meditation to help me feel calmer, to help me feel connected, to help me connect to my intuition. And so this is the meditation that I think is meditation 101 for working intuitively with anything. But of course, it doesn't work for everybody. Some people prefer other types of meditations, but this is the little one that you can do. You can practice it on your own. You could come back and re-listen to this one if you wanted to anytime. It doesn't have to be related to this full moon. And so that's it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to talking about the next full moon when it comes in. Ciao.